I want to be clear before we go any further. It's absolutely within everybody's rights to demand answers from police and hold police accountable, especially if there's a lack of information going back and forth. However, this is not one of those cases. This is when the rumor mill and social media take an investigation that has no issues on the police department side of it and then creates issues on its own. Internet sleuths. You know, the people on TikToks and Instagrizzles and YouTubes that interject themselves in investigations that are currently ongoing, usually involving murder, sometimes sexual assault, and add their 2 cents in. Because they're right. The people that have a limited amount of information that aren't there on scene to break down the facts, they know what's going on in a criminal investigation, and their demands should absolutely be met. Why didn't they fingerprint everybody's butthole? Isn't there supposed to be semen everywhere at a crime scene? Why aren't they using psychics to help them? Those kinds of questions, and the people that ask those kinds of questions, are who we're going to talk about today. I previously did one of these breakdowns on the Hotel Cecil and the Elisa Lam controversy. The young woman that likely had a mental episode and accidentally drowned herself on a rooftop water basin in California. Now, Netflix didn't really like that I used some of their clips, and after YouTube removed some portions from my video, the uncut, uncensored, full version is on Pepperbox if you want to check that out. But for now, let's focus on the University of Idaho killings. If you're not familiar with this incident, 4 students from the University of Idaho were killed in November of 2022. The 4 students lived off campus. The majority of them lived on a large 3-story home on King Street with a couple other roommates. 4 young college kids getting murdered just outside a campus is kind of a big deal, and I can understand why the news, the media, and why everybody that's a YouTube sleuther or real crime, true crime, whatever the time, content creator would really want to sink their teeth into a story like this. But just like I said earlier, sometimes people who don't have all the information and make insane demands on the police and those investigating it just jack everything up and make our lives a living hell, which is exactly what happened to the poor people at the University of Idaho and those living in the small town of Moscow. Moscow, Idaho? Really? Moscow? All right. But before we go in depth into the investigation and I show you exactly why the internet sleuths are filled with dumb and so frustrating to work around, first, a word from this video's sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends. You know it, I play it. You know I play it. And if you're not playing Raid, then you are already wrong. It's July here in Buffalo, and Raid has already turned up the heat with the new Chaos Awakes event. For a limited time when you log in, you can claim the legendary champion, Lemonici the Gold Wing. The perfect champion to push through high-level content. But you need to start logging in before July 31st and for 7 days before August 20th to claim the champion that breaks through shields and ignores defenses. If you use my link or QR code to download Raid, you will immediately unlock the starter pack with champion Talia, and once you reach level 15, you will unlock an extra starter pack with Drake of the Lizardmen faction. I personally like to play Raid Shadow Legends while I'm traveling. Since it's available on PC and mobile, you have the flexibility to play Raid Shadow Legends anywhere. New players can only use one of these codes to unlock a legendary champion to help you on your epic quest, but only for a limited time and only if you use my link or QR code. So click the link or use my code to download Raid and get the Epic Talia and Epic Drake bonus today. Before we get started, so that we're all on the same page, I'm going to give you a quick little breakdown of the beginning of the investigation of the 4 murders that happened at the University of Idaho. The 4 students who lost their lives are Madison Morgan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Xana's boyfriend Ethan Chapin. The 3 girls lived in an apartment with a couple other friends on King Road just off campus of the University of Idaho. Some person or people broke into the home at the late night or early morning after the kids had gone out and partied, stabbed the 4 students to death, and then left. The additional roommates that weren't involved in the murder stayed in bed, a little freaked out, and called a friend over to look through the house because something was going weird and they felt uncomfortable. And one of the boyfriends went upstairs, discovered the 4 victims' bodies, and then told somebody to call 911. The call was made, officers showed up on scene, the scene was cordoned off, and the investigation began. Now, something to keep in mind is Moscow or Moscow, however they say it in Idaho, is that it's a small town. It's just under 27,000 people, and I'm sure that there's an influx of students going to the University of Idaho during those semesters, but otherwise, not a very large police force. Immediately, just with that singular scene and all the victims, the police force seemed to be overwhelmed, or at least inexperienced to violent crimes in that area. With the murders happening in 2022, I believe the last time that somebody was killed in that town was in 2012. Now, I'm saying this not to try and make the police department seem incompetent. That's not what I'm doing. Oftentimes, when a small town deals with a serious crime, they look for assistance from other departments that are more experienced in these types of investigations. And the police department in Moscow is no different. Fairly quickly, Idaho State Police and the FBI were called in to assist the department. And to add on to the point that I'm trying to make, that they're not incompetent, whenever a large or serious crime happens in a small town, that'll often take most, if not all, the department's resources, and they hold that scene or that crime to be of such a high level importance, everything is gone through methodically with a fine-tooth comb. Imagine the first time that you had to do a school project all on your own, write an essay, or you went to work and you had to do something by yourself without assistance from anybody else. I bet you it took a really long time. Why? Not because you're dumb, but because you wanted to dot your I's and cross your T's. Make sure you don't do anything that's going to jack up whatever it is you're supposed to push forward, whether it's a paper or some sort of work project, or whether it's a criminal investigation of the death of 4 college students. So right off the rip, you're going to hear some complaints from people in the social media world saying, why is this taking so long? How come they're doing this? Why isn't it moving faster? It's because everybody's dead. Now, I know everybody's used to watching the first 48, which, by the way, says if they don't have a suspect in the first 48 hours, it kind of goes downhill from there. Not did they solve it in 48 hours. And I say this because now, from the perspective of an investigation or the investigator that's going into this scene, or some overt motive as to why these people would die, those 48 hours are gonna go by quick. So you're not on the massive time crunch that maybe the public or other similar cases might have. So what does that mean? That means slow and steady wins the race. That means cordon off everything. That means lots of photos. That means limiting people in and out of the crime scene so you're not stepping on a whole bunch of shit. And that also means that your time is valuable, and you need to make sure that everything is done correctly from the jump. This leads to people on scene that get very upset that they're not given information right away. This is an ongoing theme in a lot of investigations, especially ones that make it onto social media. The public, the people that are there, witnesses, victims' families, they are going to be upset that they're not getting more information when they want it in a timely manner that they dictate. Listen, your family members, loved ones, etc., got taken away from you, not on your time, not when you wanted. Solving that case, solving the investigation, giving them justice is not going to happen on your time either. Let me rip off that Band-Aid right now. Although you are important, you are not so important that we will throw away an investigation to give you every tidbit of information that you want when you want it. Now, different side of the same coin, yes, departments should keep you abreast as to what's going on with the information that they can give to you. I'm not some heartless animal that's just gonna kick a family who lost a loved one or a victim of a crime aside and say, I'll fill you in when I want to fill you in. No. Assaults, sexual assaults, murders, these are very emotionally charged crimes where you have to be aware of the victim and those around the victim and how they can be affected. All right, are you ready? Let's get into this. Let's see what the local media, frustrated victims, witnesses, and family members, as well as internet sleuths and true crimers have to say about this investigation.
Monday morning, all that we knew by that point was that 4 people were dead.
I got here on Sunday, the day after the attack, and there was just local media. And by Tuesday, there was dozens of people from all over the country. And they said, you're gonna have to refer to our statement. And I said, so you're not taking questions? And he said, no, we're taking questions. And I said, but you're just not answering them.
Like I said earlier, small department, small town, local reporters. Crimes this big don't normally happen, and when you have a good relationship in a small town with another person, specifically on the police department, you would expect some answers. But when it comes to a case that's this big, this important, where something can go wrong and a murderer could walk free, you keep things tight, especially if you're not sure about who the person is, the murderer, where they came from, why they did what they did. The less information you have, the less you can put out.
In larger police departments, you have a public information officer who's assigned to talk to the press. I was shocked. I was like, how could they not tell us what's going on? We were getting such little information that it created this chasm where rumors and speculation just started to fill the silence.
How did the police create the chasm? Right? She says there was a chasm because the police weren't giving us all the information that we wanted, and we needed it now. It's my money and I want it now. I'm getting J.G. Wentworth vibes over here. This is the selfishness of a lot of people in the press, or people in general, who don't understand how an investigation goes. I just said it 2 seconds ago. You're a small department that's not as experienced in these things. And at the moment, if you give away too much information, you don't want the bad guy to go, oh, they're looking at me, I'm out of here, and skipping town. People need to realize this, especially the press. The most important thing in an investigation is the investigation. It's integrity. Not giving as much information as they possibly can to the press or the crowd or the victims. It's difficult to solve, and nobody can keep their mouth shut. And to say it's the police department's fault why this chasm was created is the chasm was created because a million reporters showed up on scene, started demanding answers, and the second that they didn't, Miss Lady, you all started saying, well, we deserve answers. Well, what's going on? Well, something stinks in the state of Denmark. Except here it's the state of Idaho. It's your media circus, and we're gonna get there eventually, and the social media circus that whips everybody up in a frenzy and makes it a chasm, if you will, that needs to be filled with information. And that chasm is then filled with rumor and speculation. That's not on us at all. That's on you as media organizations, reporters, internet sleuths, and true crimers. You create the buzz. We're just going about our daily lives investigating crimes, which is what we're paid to do. We're not jumping on the internet every 10, 15 seconds to upload a new video or segment or article, etc., in order to try and make this, whatever incident it might be, bigger than what it is. And then to immediately speculate as to, well, why aren't the police? Because the first thing that almost always happens when police don't give all the information that media wants is what? Exactly. That we're dirty, that it's a cover-up, that people who have nothing to do with anybody on the scene or with the crime are obviously in cahoots with some unknown Illuminati to prevent crimes that we're investigating to being solved. Welcome to my TED Talk.
People thinking that it was a drug house and that they got murdered because of drugs, and I'm like, what?
People said they were doing drugs out of there, like selling drugs out of there, so it was a drug dealer that came.
See, even without social media, people around the area who know these kids are already making up rumors and speculating that, oh, this was a party house, so therefore there must be drugs. And if there's drugs, that means everybody in there is involved, which means they deserved it. They all deserved it. No, shut up. I want to be clear before we go any further. It's absolutely within everybody's rights to demand answers from police and hold police accountable, especially if there's a lack of information going back and forth. However, this is not one of those cases. This is when the rumor mill and social media take an investigation that has no issues on the police department side of it and then creates issues on its own.
And there were national media outlets here before there was even a press conference, before we knew anything about how they died.
Do you see? Wow, it's almost like I called it, huh? Almost like I knew what was going on. Now this massive media blob comes into town because 4 college students were murdered, and they blow it out of proportion. And they create a controversy that wasn't there. that wasn't actually present. Now there's dozens and dozens of bobbling heads with microphones. Why didn't you talk about this? Why aren't they doing that? How come we haven't had any answers for who and what's and are we safe?
Residents in Moscow, some people related to the case have been harassed and even followed home by national correspondents.
Why are they here? Why do they care what's going on in Moscow, Idaho?
Why do they care about what's happening in Moscow, Idaho? Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I thought it wasn't the press's fault. I thought it was the police department that was creating this chasm and this issue here. And yet, here you are sitting on your flat white ass, wondering why there's such a media buzz about it. I wonder if the media, of which you're a part of, lady, is the actual problem here. Jesus, you too dumb to look in the mirror, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. I think it's the police fault for bringing all this attention to it. In the same breath, I don't know why there's so many national news media places here stalking these children and making a big deal out of this. Idaho.
Does anyone know where they were during that timeline? Like, there's still this big chunk where...
As of right now, we've told Moscow PD, Idaho State Police, and the FBI all we know. But that's all I really want to talk about right now because I actually have class here in like 15 minutes.
We are 2 full days after this horrific incident just off campus and still no news conference from the police.
2 days after the murders and people are already upset police haven't made some sort of statement. Now here's the deal, all right? I'm gonna be fair here, okay? Police departments need to go out and say out loud more than a text message, hey, this happened, we're looking into it. This is the very early stages of the investigation. I can't give out any information at this moment because we don't know what may or may not jeopardize the investigation. I can tell you that we are making steps forward, that at this moment, we're not certain if there's an actual threat to the community, although the person is still at large. So we would ask the community to take reasonable steps to ensure their own safety and security. See how I made that up like right now? Sometimes that's all you need. So yeah, okay, police department, we need to get on a little bit sooner than 2 days after, but even then, it's only been 2 days. That's not a terribly long time because day 1 is you're investigating it and you're busy, you're a small town. Day 2 is calling in assistance from other people, which now you have to bring them up to speed, another busy day. So I'm even giving the police department a little bit more leeway because they're so small here to say, okay, let's get more information before we go out and make a statement. But oh no, the news isn't happy about that.
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you received to be extremely accurate. The 4 were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
A stabbing is a very intimate crime.
All right, listen, I need to break this down. Stabbing is an intimate crime. I don't know how many times I've seen that as a trope, right? It's almost like the urban myth, the urban legend that a 50 cal bullet, if it flies past you within like 6 inches, the sonic boom will rip off your skin. That's not true. It's a normal bullet. It can miss you. However, once that energy touches you, yes, there's a lot more damage because of the weight of the bullet and the speed that it's going at, the velocity, yada yada. We're not talking about bullets though here. We're talking about stabbing. Everybody knows that stabbing is an intimate crime. It is, all right? It's also a poor people crime. People that can't afford guns. And that's not a joke. Rich people stab each other too, but I'm talking about non-domestics, right? Yes, you stab somebody that you love because they cheated on you. You're in the house, there's a kitchen knife, you're arguing in the kitchen. Boom, crime of passion. I get it, right? Also, it's very intimate. It's you and somebody. You're pushing something into them. You're not 50 yards away or 20 feet away. You're right there doing the action. However, how many times have you seen bums carry blades on them and stick other bums, and then ta-da, somebody ends up going to the hospital and then the morgue? Just because it's a stabbing doesn't mean that they're intimate partners or know each other super duper well. Is it a possibility? Yes. But look at how this dumb reporter, I'm gonna call her dumb reporter because she annoys the shit out of me with her talking out of the side of her head about she doesn't know about, and also because she wants her cake and eat it too. The same point is echoed in the media and social media about this is a very intimate stabbing crime.
So there's something especially egregious and sinister about the way this was done.
The only thing I can find when it comes to stabbings and the domestic nature of stabbings is this. 2018 study from the FBI supplementary homicide reports from 2014 to 2016 found that knife homicides, a subset of stabbings, are more likely to involve victims and offenders who are closely related than compared to firearm homicides. It doesn't even say that the majority or a significant majority of stabbings are domestic related, only that stabbing homicides are domestic more so than shooting homicides that are domestic. That could literally mean that if out of 10 homicides a year in stabbings and 10 homicides a year in shootings, there's only 3 homicide shootings of a domestic nature, but there's 4 stabbings of a domestic nature. Doesn't even mean majority overall. If you could follow me on the numbers there. All right, let's continue. Dumb reporter.
Were the roommates home at the time of the attack?
The 911 call didn't come until noon. Tell whether the same weapon was used on all 4 victims.
Now, before I really dive deep into the asses that are the internet crime sleuth true crimers, let me first say this. Social media is a fantastic tool that law enforcement uses, okay? Having the kids, family members, and friends of the victims comb their social media and say, hey, show me the stuff that we did over the past couple of days. Let's look and see if there's anything weird.
We put all of our knowledge together to try to figure out who did it and why.
Very good. Very nice.
And then someone sent me the grub truck video.
And eventually they stumble upon a live stream from the grub truck.
They live feed everything.
And people found this little segment where Maddie and Kaylee were ordering.
A man in a hoodie that's kind of behind them also seems to be waiting for food.
Looks really suspicious.
Now we're about to start the divide. We have video from the grub truck. Everybody's accessing the open source intelligence of social media into these people's lives. And this is where the divide starts to happen. Where some people, the police department, are going to go in a direction that they know the investigation will go into, leading them to more possible clues. Whether it be dead ends or not, they're going to look into it so they can gather more information. And then there's the internet sleuths, which automatically start placing the blame on random people and ruining lives because, quote unquote,
why is he being so sus?
The county prosecutor and police say they're combing through the video, trying to identify people with whom they may have come in contact.
All right, let's talk about Hoodie Guy, okay? Let's talk about chasing the white rabbit. All right, Alice in Wonderland. Hey, there's a live stream. Hey, there's people hanging out in a very small town. Most of them probably know each other. At a food truck, the only thing that's open late at night. You're gonna run into a bunch of people that know one another. Now, immediately people latch on. And in this case, people latch on to Hoodie Guy. There's always a something guy, right? Isn't there? In every one of these stupid little conspiracies or murders or true crime things, there's always the something guy. There's the hoodie guy. There's the mustache guy. There's the sunglasses guy. There's the butt guy. There's so many guys that are just loose strings that they can just chase and play with like a cat, mindlessly following it till its end. And in the end, what is it but just a massive distraction? For all the bullshit, there was a lot of it, that came up about Hoodie Guy. Could you imagine if a police department just stopped everything that they were doing and listened to the internet and decided they were just gonna go full bore into Hoodie Guy? Stop the presses! Everybody stop! Your fingerprint duster! You there! Don't you dust another print! We're going after Hoodie Guy! No, that's not how it works, and thank God, because it's a dead end. Hoodie Guy is a nobody. Nothing to do with this. Now, we know that because we waited a little bit and we didn't jump to conclusions. Now, I will say that Hoodie Guy follows after these two when they walk away. Now, is it like a creepy, I'm gonna get these girls? Not really. In fact, you can see one of his buddies, the fat guy with the beard, another guy with beard, points and says, hey, those girls that you were talking to are walking off that way. And the dude and Hoodie Guy is like, oh, geez. And he trots over to follow him real quick, probably to ask him for their phone number or some shit. Now, is this somebody that I would look into? Yes. Because they're a homicide suspect? No. Only, mainly at this moment, should anything arise afterwards, sure. But in this moment, it's because he's an individual that we can link to the victims on the night of their deaths. Okay? Not because he's hoodie guy and creepy, but he's around them. He walks to them when they walk away and turn the corner. This is somebody we can talk to get a better idea of what's going on. Do we think he's a suspect? No. Not unless something happens that would lead us to that, but wait for the internet to internet.
There were thousands of posts on TikTok and Twitter.
One of the first people that caught my attention is the guy in the food truck video with the hoodie.
AI generated videos. If you watch an AI generated video, you're an idiot. That's all I'm gonna say. Short and sweet. If you enjoy AI created content, you are brain dead. Go read a book and don't procreate until you're done with the final chapter. AI slop getting put out there.
With the hoodie.
And you can tell it's AI because it doesn't even say hoodie right. With the hoodie.
With the hoodie.
With the hoodie.
With the hoodie.
Get bent.
Could have been the food truck guy.
I think it could have been the food truck guy. Do you see how dumb following all this bullshit is now? I think it could have been food truck guy. And look at this freak with the eyeliner.
At the food truck, Maddie at some point says F you to him.
Does she? We got lip readers now. We got lip readers on TikTok who can read F you to some guy in a hoodie from some live stream that is definitely not 4K. Okay, it's not 4K. It's probably 1K. It's okay at best. All right, but you can read lips, and she's definitely talking to the hoodie guy when she says F you. Definitely, without a doubt, as you put this out on the internet to just stir up more Don't listen to AI. It's stupid. AI videos are dumb. Don't listen to broads that can't even do their own makeup right. Looking like a Down syndrome Cleopatra with those Egyptian eye bullshit she's got. You can tell these girls just want nothing to do with this guy. They're just bullshit around talking to their friends. You're not intentionally ignoring somebody if you're just in a room with 5,000 people. The way this woman says that she's intentionally ignoring hoodie guy. Listen, lady, if I'm in a room with 20 people and I talk to one person, I'm not intentionally ignoring the other 19 people in the room. I'm just focused on one person at the moment whom I'm having a conversation with. Try that next time with your kids, huh? The next time that you're in a room with one of your children and the other one walks in and you don't immediately say hi to them, you're intentionally ignoring them. Child abuse, lock her up. Lock her up based on her own statements, Your Honor.
And the case really spread in the true crime community. People were able to find his identity pretty quickly and started naming him publicly.
Facebook, great. The antithesis of all things that is a police investigation, where boomers go to spread their wings and fly with so many conspiracy theories it would make Jeffrey Epstein's head spin. Let's read what Karen has to say. Have you seen the gruesome hunting photo posted by so-and-so? There's 3 knives visible in the photo. The photos have since been deleted. Also, from what I've heard, he's lawyered up. He's apparently the guy in the hoodie from the food truck. And somebody said he was following them home. So you're telling me, middle of nowhere, Idaho, guy's hunting and has a couple of knives, probably for dispatching the deer and gutting it and skinning it, etc. I think that's a red flag. And do you see how now this is starting to snowball? It's not that he might have followed them home. I don't even know how they have followed him home. All of the video shows on the gut truck is him walking towards them when they walk away and go around the corner. But Karen here says he was following them home. Oh, he was definitely following them home now. Do you see how we went from just a guy at a food truck that saw them and then went around the corner with them to now he definitely followed them home and he's got knives and photos? Oh God, knives and photos. Lock him up. Lock him up, Karen, aptly named Karen.
Allegedly, he actually knew the girls.
You can see the hoodie guy standing near the girls.
This guy had been bumping into Kaylee in public a lot.
This guy had been bumping into Kaylee in public a lot. It's a town of 26,000 people. You nose ring bimbo. No they're gonna bump into one another. Earlier on in the documentary, the girls say he's actually like a friend of a friend. He's in one of the fraternities.
He was part of Greek life.
We know who he is. So, yeah, people who know each other are going to bump into one another. Fat, bored white women are just the bane of good common sense and country's prosperity. You want to see the downfall of a nation? Bored white women trying to get something done because they care about it and they decided to find their passion. And while we're at it, damn the TikTok filters that make them look prettier than what they are. They're cows. They should be looked at as cows. All the rings in their noses are just to lead them away from the buffet. And look at this. Oh my God. Look at the fucking still with the words that she put up in it. Who is food truck guy? John Jack. University of Idaho frat boy, possibly stalker. When did it become a stalker? When did it become possibly? We're just shooting shit out of our ass here. Not realizing that it has an effect on real people or that it has nothing to do with the case because you don't have that information and you're not gonna get it because we don't want to ruin the case. Always purposely bumping into Kaylee out in public. Alarming. Where are you getting that from? Where are you getting that he purposely bumped into somebody?
There was like YouTubers, like sleuths, that would like go through the entire case.
They threw ethics out the window. They like dressed up as students and went into the dorms to try and find information.
Listen, I don't think you understand how difficult you're making the investigation when you dress up as students and go into the dorms trying to get more information. Do you know how intimidating that is? Do you know how on edge you're making everybody because now everybody's got to check their six and look over their shoulder because they're afraid some weirdo's gonna jump out of somewhere and be like, do you know Kaylee? Did you kill them? How about Hoodie Guy? I heard he's stalking. Stay in your lane.
There is only one spot in that backyard that is dark enough that somebody could have gotten into. Was that window that's missing the screen and had the cinder block underneath it.
I'm not trying to say, no, but I am gonna say it. You showed up days later to a crime scene, the outside of which, and you're just taking photos and zooming in on bricks underneath windows and saying, I think that's where they got into the building. Now, if you could be right. All right, you could be right. That could have been exactly what happened. Now, what if that is some information that the police department didn't want to put out because the guy cut himself on the window and now there's DNA evidence, right? Do you ever think that maybe the shit you put out there might actually affect the investigation? Now, I'm not saying you can't speculate. However, I am saying that showing up to the crime scene and then spewing out bullshit that you can't verify at all creates an issue in the community and now for the police in the investigation. Do you know how many defense lawyers are going to look at this and be like, I mean, how secure was the crime scene? You got people that are 30 feet behind, the caution tape taking photos of where all this shit is. This place is contaminated. F it. Or how can you get a fair trial if so many people are already in here judging the person that's done it and throwing it up on social media?
There was one particular guy, he started making YouTube videos and he started showing up places.
Who is that guy? Who is that guy?
Hi, dude. In your car, randomly recording people going in and out of their homes, saying, who's that guy? Who the f are you, guy? You're more suspect than everybody else wearing a hat that says media and just recording yourself with somebody in the background going over to their friend's house. You're definitely not from that community. You're probably driving a car with an out-of-state plate. You're wearing a hat that says media, which media definitely don't do, and you're recording with your camera as people stand outside their houses and you're zooming in on them going, your suspect is shit, my guy. And this is exactly how I see all of you sleuths, as annoying heads that just want to poke the bear and get their 5 seconds of fame, no matter what the cost or whatever they spew or put out. Literally, the dude is pointing at a chubby guy with a beard going into his friend's house, and he's like, but what is that? What could it mean? Who is that guy? Is he something? That's exactly how we view you. You take nonsensical shit and you try to turn it into something that is all you discovered it, you found the thing that has nothing to do with the case whatsoever. You're just making it harder on everybody else that's involved, legitimately involved in the investigation. Play that guy 17 million times in a row. Every time some internet sleuth goes, and I think that Hoodie Guy did not, or I think that he's suspect because look at how weird he acts. Play that guy right there. He's like, who's this guy? Going into his house, who's that guy? That's who you are. That is exactly who you are. I'm freaking out.
They have the EX. A lot of people are saying symbolism. with Ethan and Xana.
Do you see what I mean now? Do you see what I mean about making shit up that has nothing to do with it? This guy is implying the fraternity is somehow involved or responsible for the deaths of these 4 kids because their Greek letters from the Greek alphabet line up with the first initials of their names. Just 2 of the victims, Ethan and Xana. What does it mean? It's symbolism. Do you see how nutty this is? Just the fraternities out there murking 4 people because what? Why? Why would the fraternity do it? And then how do you explain the other 2 deaths that are involved here? Like, if you actually look at some of the stupid that these people post, you could debunk it if we just took a breath and did common sense. If you take it at face value, E and X are 2 of the freaking initials of the 2 people killed out of the 4. Oh my God. Oh my God. But if we sit here and we break it down and say, all right, this fraternity has been around for decades upon decades and decades. Their frat house has been here 500 semesters before these kids were even born. Maybe that's just a strange coincidence. It has nothing to do with anything. Maybe we don't start suggesting, which is exactly what this guy's doing, that the fraternity is somehow involved in the murder. Do you see? Do you see now how sometimes we get a little frustrated with you internet sleuths?
And I think people had targeted me specifically because I did have a lot of kind of public information out there on social media, my Facebook and my TikTok.
Here we go. Here's another wild goose chase. Now we've got a fraternity member in that fraternity who's getting stalked by the public because he just happens to be very public in his social media, right? Just living his life. But because this kid's in the middle of a murder, and he's not even in the middle of it, he's forced in the middle of it by a bunch of outsiders who see him in a bunch of photos with other people and go, he knows everybody, and he's in the fraternity. That must mean he's guilty of killing people. The scrawny, 5'5", curly-haired frat boy is the dude that killed 4 people? For what? Where is this coming from? Internet sleuths. And the biggest cancer of all is anonymous reporting. And this is just a schizophrenic post here. A+ and poli-sci 235. What does that have to do with anything? Your Catholic homeboy playing white super lame and is the alibi for his boyfriend blank killed all of them while somebody stood by in the area. Lacrosse and wrestling for blank with his K-bar. What's that? I don't even know if that's a sentence. The knife is in Garden City. What does that even mean? Who's Garden City? Where's Garden City? I mean, it's showing 4 comments and 0 upvotes, so obviously people see this as crazy, but it's not that crazy when 1,000+ different accounts on TikTok, Twitter, and everything else are blowing up this kid just because he happens to be in the same fraternity. This guy's not even Hoodie Guy. I thought it was Hoodie Guy 2 days ago.
Somebody had sent a photo of my house, the cars that we drove, the places of employment of my parents. Now people know my address and saying I have something to do with it.
And now you have this kid getting stalked by random people on the internet. Listen, you got to be careful what you put out there on the internet. Frankly, I wish nobody would be careful because it makes it easier for me to find you when you put everything out there and you commit a crime. But when you're a normal kid and you put everything out there, the internet and its disgusting psychos will comb through every photo and see if they can't find one license plate, and then boom, there you are. House, phone number, vehicle and registration. Everybody knows where to find you now. Doxing. That's what we do now, internet sleuths. We see a dude that happens to be in the same fraternity as a guy that gets murdered, and now we're doxing him. Good job. Great job. Great job, internet sleuths. Let's say that he was the killer, right? Now, do you think that it's going to get brought up by the defense that he's getting death threats from everybody? Do you think now that the defense is going to say the police couldn't do their job appropriately and arrest him in a timely manner, and now the entire community is against him and now they can't have a fair trial, or that he's already been judged based on his actions that people on the internet made up? And who the f do you think you are just doxing random people on the internet because I think they murdered somebody? You think? With what information? Once again, it always comes back to this. It'll always come back to this. You don't have the information that the officers have. So when you make judgments or statements or state something as fact that you can't verify, it goes downhill fast, and there are repercussions for it. like this poor kid and hoodie guy and the dozens of other people, to include family members of the victims, that are getting drugged through the media and having to relive not just the horrible death of their family members and friends, but they're having to deal with the stress of idiots on the internet spewing absolute bullshit and pointing the finger at them for the deaths of those people that they loved.
So there was a police video of Hunter Johnson going to the door.
He had some zip ties around his wrist. What do you guys think?
Now, the Freedom of Information Act is fantastic. The Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, allows people to request police documents and also other documents. It's not just police, right? It's government documents, so that they can get a better understanding of what went on. But what do internet sleuths do? They get FOIA requests. They send them to the police station and they look over every body cam incident that's ever happened at that address. Well, what do they get? You're gonna get something. Most likely, just about every house in a city, especially one that's got a bunch of college kids, is gonna have some sort of police interaction. But what do these internet sleuths do? Police interaction means guilt. Because they got stopped at a traffic stop, or because they had a loud noise complaint and they opened up the door, they're guilty. Or because they have a zip tie on their wrist, they're guilty. Newsflash, these internet sleuths are like, oh, he's trying things out when it comes to binding people up and killing them. He's obviously a freak. One, that is a far leap to go off of, right? That is a jump in and of itself. But what psycho killer is tying himself up? I need to see how good these knots are, so I'll tie them on myself. I'm gonna zip tie myself to see if zip tying myself makes me a better killer. Don't the victims get zip tied? Like, let's ask that for real. Oh, he's got zip ties on his wrist. I would think victim, not suspect. But who am I? I'm just a dude.
Wrist tie guy. That was my name there for a little bit.
We play a game called Champagne and Shackles. You zip tie together until each of you finish your champagne, ultimately.
That's how it all began.
Sources are claiming that Ethan Chapin's best friend, who was there and preventing the other friends from entering the room, he checked Ethan's pulse and he was the one to call 911.
So here's another popular thing that internet sleuths like to do. Did you discover the body? Automatic suspect. Listen, do you not think that police are going to ask questions, gather DNA, and talk to the individuals that find the bodies of their friends? Do you not think that they're like, okay, it is a possibility? Are we that dumb to you? Now, I will say, it's extremely rare for the person to find the dead body and do the 911 call to be the murderer. Go ahead and Google that for me. Google that for me real quick while we let the internet sleuths think through their, because that's where their brain is, in their ass. How many homicides have had the actual suspect, the murderer, discover and call 911 on the body that was found? A very, very minuscule percentage. Now, just because it's never zero, right? We know that. So the police are going to do their due diligence. But do you really think that's what happened? The two girls that lived in the basement called their two friends over, who just so happened to be the two people that murdered the people upstairs, and then they go upstairs and see the four people dead, and then they call 911? If it was really them, you think they wouldn't just go and kill the two kids that were in the basement? Oh my God, I'm starting to spiral. Now I'm making bullshit claims up like them sleuthers. But the blame game's not over, because now we got to blame the victims. That's one thing that the internet loves doing, is blaming the victims. People that have lost loved ones, right? Now we've got to turn our focus on the two roommates, Dylan and Bethany, who were downstairs and didn't really hear anything go on and were somehow spared. It's their fault now.
You mean to tell me that Dylan, she didn't hear someone walking up and down those stairs?
They didn't hear it. They didn't wake up in time. They didn't call 911 fast enough. When they were scared in their rooms because they thought that something wrong had happened, that they somehow are responsible now for the deaths of their four friends. Good job. Good job, internet sleuths. You could sleep through your sleep apnea machine, and yet you're somehow confused from the whir of oxygen getting shoved up your fat nose, that you would question two girls who fell asleep and just didn't wake up or know what was going on when their friends were getting stabbed. There's no gunshots. It's just stab, stab, stab. Then your air's gone because your lungs are all punctured or your diaphragm's sliced open. Now you can't scream or do nothing. You just hear a I wonder what that was. Oh, that was the sound of you now being guilty of murder because you didn't wake up and go and investigate what the sound was. Could you imagine if the girls woke up and investigated what the sound was when a guy who just stabbed 4 of his friends are walking by them? They're probably gonna die too, you idiot. But we don't think about that. We don't think about that.
I just don't think people should be saying anything when they don't know.
Bravo. Maybe everybody can just shut up and wait and listen. You want to question the police, even though it frustrates us, fine, go ahead. But what you shouldn't do is start ruining the lives of random people because you got a hunch from absolutely no facts that they might have committed the murder and now you're going to go after them. How many guys do we have now, huh? We've got hoodie guy, we've got frat guy, we've got handcuff guy, we've got handcuff guy's girlfriend, we've got 2 friends that live there that were luckily spared from being murdered, but now it's somehow their fault. We've gone through 6 people that should have caused this murder. Probably 7 because the whole police department's in on it now, right? Because they're not getting to the media fast enough. Do you see where my frustration with this is coming from?
So many people out there that start a theory with close relationships. That's an easy way to go about any theory. People always suspect the boyfriend.
Oh, I spoke too soon. There's another one. It's one of the victim's boyfriends. He's at fault now because he was there or wasn't there. Or he doesn't have enough social media, so he's a psycho. Or he's got too much social media, and now we know that he's got a photo of a knife or a butt plug somewhere, and now he's at fault. So we should terrorize him after he lost his girlfriend. There we go. There's the internet sleuth community again, knocking it out of the park.
We were all scared that we were being stalked, even if we didn't realize we were, by social media sleuths.
The murders occurred in the early morning of November 13th. The first press conference. All the social media sleuths, the badgering of people that lost their family members. Guess how long that took? 3 weeks? A month? 2 months? 6 days. 7 days if you want to round up. Because on the 20th of November, the police chief of Moscow, Idaho, comes up and does a press conference to say, holy shit, you retards are really up. And I've got to address it now because of the amount of bullshit that he's got to deal with. And this is my major point that I want you to get out of this video today. Not that I hate all internet sleuths, although the majority of you are annoying as shit and retarded. That when a mass amount of people decide to create some bullshit and feel like they want to be the center of attention and just throw out hypotheses and bullshit and theories without saying that they're just that and stating things, ideas, perception as if they're fact. You remove police officers from doing their actual job in an investigation, assisting the family members, witnesses, victims, in getting closure for their dead ones, the ones that they lost, because now they have to address all this other bullshit. You've removed them from doing their job, and now they've got to come and talk to you about what you did because you didn't get your tummy rubbed by your dad when you were 5 years old and you need to be the center of attention. Let's talk to the commish. Hey, Chief, what's going on?
I want to address several areas of speculation, conjecture, and misinformation that has circulated on social media platforms and otherwise.
The community, in part because of the speculation online, was grateful that police were clearing these people who were being targeted or doxxed online.
Boom! What people do online has real life consequences. The dumb reporter said something right. Oh, you've won me over. Maybe you've learned your lesson, dumb reporter. I'm still going to call you dumb reporter. It diverts police attention away from the things that matter. The investigation. Now, I'm not going to leave you on a cliffhanger. You don't have to watch the rest of the video. You don't have to go on Google. The suspect was arrested on December 30th. So about a month and a half, it took this police investigation to find their suspect and then effect an arrest, right? Gather all that information up and effect an arrest. And that suspect was Brian Christopher Koberger, who's 28 years old. He lived a short distance away from the University of Idaho, where he was a student at Washington State. He got picked up in Pennsylvania near his family's home with his dad, and it was because of the sheath that was left underneath a victim that they were able to grab DNA from it and match it to his own. So Brian breaks into the house, kills the 4 students. He leaves the sheath to his knife inside of the house. That sheath has his DNA on it. They're able to find him in Pennsylvania a month and a half later and effect the arrest. And he's since pled guilty. He's taken a plea so that the death sentence is off the table and is expected to serve several life sentences. Now, not all sleuthing is bad. Yes, Don't Mess with Cats is a fantastic documentary on Netflix that can show people coming together the right way to assist law enforcement in solving a crime. And there's tons of examples of that too. In fact, if you have one that you'd like me to break down, link it below in the comments. Best way to support the channel is get yourself a shirt. This old crack house. A bad bitch. Do you know a bad bitch? How about a POB? Cheapest way to support the channel is to leave a comment. Go ahead and link some of the investigations you'd like me to look into if you enjoy this more longer format and me breaking down investigations, especially when it comes to internet sleuths and the things that they jack up. Or ones where internet sleuths actually help out an investigation. See you next time, weirdos.